Before the tongue speaks, the body has already told the truth. This is a truth often overlooked. Most people walk through life seeing but not observing, hearing but not listening, speaking but not understanding. We look at one another every day, but we rarely see what the body is silently trying to say. So I ask you, if you could understand the language of the body, would you not listen more carefully? Let us begin with a simple idea. Before any word is spoken, the body begins to communicate. This silent language is continuous, instinctive, and often more honest than verbal expression. When someone says, "I'm fine," but their arms are crossed, their posture slouched, and their tone flat, it becomes clear that their body is revealing something quite different. This is the essence of the idea. The body reveals what the mind conceals. Many of us are trained to listen to words, but few are taught to see what is being communicated non-verbally. Yet, in most interactions, the majority of meaning is conveyed not through speech, but through body language, facial expressions, gestures, tone of voice, eye movement, posture, and even silence. These physical cues happen involuntarily and often reflect a person's true emotional state. That is why body language can be more trustworthy than spoken words. The reason this happens is simple. The mind may choose to lie, but the body rarely does. The body is an extension of the subconscious. When someone feels anxious, their body might fidget. When they are angry, tension builds in the jaw or shoulders. When they feel vulnerable, they might look down or turn slightly away. These signs are not chosen. They arise naturally from inner emotional states. This is why learning to observe them with sensitivity and accuracy gives you a deeper understanding of what someone is truly experiencing. Understanding this form of communication requires presence. It's not about constantly analyzing others or becoming suspicious. It's about slowing down enough to notice what is already being shown. Often, we are too focused on what we want to say or too distracted by our own inner noise to truly see others. But when we become quiet and attentive, we begin to notice how the body speaks. In glances, in gestures, in the spaces between words. Reading the body with compassion, not judgment, allows us to connect on a deeper level. It helps us respond more wisely and build more authentic relationships. So when we say the body reveals what the mind conceals, it is not a trick or tactic. It is an invitation to deepen our perception, to look beyond the surface, and begin to truly understand the human experience as it is lived, not just as it is spoken. To truly understand others through their body language, one must first cultivate awareness within oneself. This is a principle often overlooked. People often rush to learn techniques, how to spot a lie, how to read gestures. But without inner clarity, observation becomes clouded by assumption, bias, or projection. The foundation for reading others accurately is not found in a book of cues or a checklist of expressions. It begins in stillness with the observer. When your own mind is agitated, filled with distractions or emotional turbulence, your ability to perceive others clearly is limited. You may misinterpret a gesture as hostility when it's actually nervousness, or read confidence into someone who is merely masking fear. What you perceive in others is filtered through the lens of your own emotional state. That's why self-awareness is not just helpful, it is essential. To be self-aware means to understand your own emotional reactions, your tendencies, and your thought patterns. It means noticing when you are tense, when you are assuming, and when your mind is racing. When you bring attention to your own body and breath, you develop a kind of inner calm that allows you to observe others without interference. From this quiet place, you begin to notice more: the flicker in someone's eyes, the slight hesitation in their voice, the way their body shifts when a certain topic arises. This kind of observation is not analytical, it is intuitive. But that intuition is only accessible when the noise within you has settled. Think of a still pond. Only when the water is calm can you clearly see the reflection of the sky. In the same way, when your inner world is calm, you can better reflect and receive the reality of others. Furthermore, being grounded in your own awareness creates a sense of presence. People feel it. They relax in your presence because they sense you are truly there, listening, not just with your ears, but with your whole being. In that space, genuine understanding becomes possible. So before trying to master the techniques of reading others, take time to master the stillness of your own mind. In doing so, you will not only become a better observer, you will become someone who sees with clarity, responds with wisdom, and connects with authenticity. Every part of the human body plays a unique role in nonverbal communication. While many focus only on facial expressions or tone, a more complete understanding requires attention to the entire body: eyes, hands, feet, posture, and breath. Each of these elements tells a different part of the emotional story, and when observed together, they create a clearer picture of what someone is truly feeling or thinking. The eyes, often called the windows to the soul, offer insight into a person's inner world. They can show fear, curiosity, avoidance, or confidence, often before a word is spoken. Rapid blinking, avoiding eye contact, or glancing repeatedly to the side can suggest discomfort or anxiety. Conversely, steady eye contact might suggest confidence or engagement, but if it feels forced or too intense, it may signal an attempt to control or mask insecurity. The direction of someone's gaze can also reflect how their mind is processing information. Looking up while recalling a memory, or down when feeling shame or introspection. The hands are powerful communicators. They are often the most expressive part of the body during conversation. Open palms generally signal honesty and openness, while clenched fists or hidden hands may indicate tension or guardedness. When people touch their face, rub their neck, or play with objects, it often reveals nervous energy or discomfort. Even the way someone gestures, wide and flowing versus tight and restrained, tells you something about their emotional state. Feet, though rarely noticed, are among the most honest indicators of someone's true feelings. While people can train themselves to control their facial expressions or hand movements, the feet tend to act more instinctively. A person may be smiling and nodding, but if their feet are pointed toward the exit, they're probably eager to leave. The direction of the feet often aligns with the direction of the mind. Posture and breath tie everything together. A straight posture with shoulders back and chest open conveys presence and confidence. A slouched or collapsed posture can indicate sadness, defeat, or fatigue. Breath is another subtle cue. Rapid, shallow breathing often signals anxiety or stress, while slow, steady breaths usually reflect calm and composure. When observed with attention and care, these elements provide a rich and often truthful account of a person's internal state. Learning to read each part of the body with sensitivity deepens your ability to understand others beyond words. The ability to read body language accurately does not come from memorizing rules or assuming meanings. It comes from genuine observation, developed through patience, presence, and experience. One of the most common mistakes people make when trying to read others is jumping to conclusions. They see a single gesture, crossed arms, a quick glance, a nervous movement, and immediately label it as dishonesty, disinterest, or anxiety. But human behavior is far more complex than that. Context matters. Personal habits, cultural differences, and individual personality traits all influence how someone expresses themselves physically. For example, someone might cross their arms simply because they're cold, not because they're feeling defensive. A person who avoids eye contact may be shy, not deceptive. A fidgeting hand could mean nervousness, or it could be a long-standing habit. If we rush to judgment based on limited information, we risk misunderstanding others and forming false impressions. That is why careful observation without assumption is so important. It allows us to see patterns over time rather than drawing conclusions from isolated moments. True observation requires a quiet mind. If you are constantly thinking, evaluating, or comparing, you are not fully present with the person in front of you. To observe someone well, you must slow down, notice the details, and remain open. Watch how their gestures change in different environments, how their posture shifts when certain topics are discussed, how their facial expressions respond to emotional cues. With time and attention, a fuller picture emerges. You begin to understand not just what someone is doing, but why they are doing it. This kind of observation is not cold or clinical. It's rooted in empathy. The goal is not to judge, expose, or manipulate, but to understand. When you observe with compassion, you begin to notice the unspoken struggles, the quiet fears, and the subtle strengths that people carry in their bodies every day. You see more because you are listening with more than just your ears. Developing this skill takes practice, but the rewards are meaningful. You gain a deeper connection with others, communicate more effectively, and respond to situations with greater clarity. Observation becomes a form of respect, a way of truly seeing others as they are, rather than as we assume them to be. Learning to read body language is not about memorizing tricks or impressing others with clever insights. It is a discipline, a skill that, like any other, requires time, patience, and consistent practice. It is not enough to read a book or attend a workshop. To truly understand the silent language of the body, one must approach it with humility, presence, and a sincere desire to connect. This process is not driven by ego or control, but by a quiet commitment to understanding the unspoken aspects of human experience. Just as a martial artist trains every day to refine movements, balance, and timing, the ability to read others accurately develops through repetition and awareness. You begin by paying attention in simple, everyday interactions. You notice how someone's posture changes when they are relaxed versus when they are uncomfortable. You observe how their tone of voice shifts during different conversations. Over time, you start to recognize patterns, not as rigid rules, but as tendencies that reveal emotional states. However, true skill arises not only from external observation, but also from internal stillness. If your mind is noisy or reactive, your perception will be clouded. That is why mindfulness is essential. A calm, focused mind becomes more sensitive to nuance. You begin to see what others miss, the hesitation in someone's movement, the brief flicker in their expression, the small adjustments they make when something feels wrong. These subtle cues are easy to overlook, but they speak volumes. When you practice this consistently, your intuition becomes sharper. You no longer rely on guesswork. You begin to feel what someone is going through, even when they say nothing. But this awareness must be used with care. The purpose is not to manipulate, impress, or invade someone's privacy. The goal is deeper connection. It is to respond with greater wisdom, to be present when someone needs support, and to understand others without them having to explain everything in words. Ultimately, the art of reading body language is not about gaining power over others. It is about developing clarity within yourself. From that clarity, you gain the ability to see others more clearly. And when two people can meet with that level of awareness and presence, communication becomes something deeper than conversation. It becomes understanding.